Awesome. Thank you, Max. I really, really appreciate this. And thank you, everyone. It's so great to see and read all of you. And thank you for the welcome. Um, and as I jump right into this, I always try to start with these talks with just a sense of gratitude. Gratitude to not just Max, not just the school, but gratitude to all of you. You know, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here at 7 p.m. on a Thursday evening, right? Everybody has a choice, and you choose to be here with us and with me. And so I want you to know that I am extremely grateful for that, and thank you. And I hope that what it is that I will be sharing with everyone would be something really meaningful and useful for you as you go on to this adventure. The other thing that I always I'm at awe when every class that I teach and also the lectures that I do, I'm in real awe of all of you who are in this class, because you have this sense of trust, right? That you signed up for this class. Yeah, I mean, you have no idea who kind of, maybe you don't know who Max is, and you don't even know who the people he will be bringing into class. You have no idea who I am. It's not like you knew, you saw the email and you Googled me, Fernando Delrosario, Google search. You know, maybe you did. I don't know, but maybe you didn't. But you have zero clue that who I am and what it is that I've done. But you have this innate trust that I know what the hell I'm talking about. Right? That I will be able to share something with you that is hopefully very, very meaningful and useful. And so what I try to do is I try to just do a quick snapshot of who I am, what is it that I've done, and why, you know, how am I capable, or what kind of knowledge and background do I have that I can offer you. So bear with me for a few minutes if I may share my adventure thus far. Okay, so just like what Max said, we've known each other for many, many years. Originated from the Philippines. I was born in the Philippines, and we moved to Detroit, Michigan, because, you know, Philippines and Detroit, they're kind of the same, right? They're not. So when my family moved to Michigan for a better life, I mean, literally, we had just the shirts off our backs, you know, maybe a luggage or two there, you know, and I've had an incredible, amazing opportunity to live here in America and build a life from pretty much from the ground up. Going to CCS, which is an art school in downtown Detroit, meeting Max, getting my degree in graphic design, and eventually hitting the workforce as a junior level creative at Campbell-Ewald. I got a taste of what this industry was really all about. Right? I was a junior level creative at Campbell-Ewald, working on the Chevy account. And so all I did was Chevy car, Chevy truck. We did all the billboards, the advertising, the direct marketing, the digital banners for Chevy. About a couple of years after starting that job, I woke up one January in the middle of winter in Michigan, and I thought to myself, there's got to be more to this than Michigan, right? So I hired as many headhunters as I can. I you know, from major cities like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, down in Florida, down in Texas. I basically told every headhunter that I could find, listen, I am single. I have no ties in Michigan. I have a car, I have a motorcycle, and I have a dog, and I can be mobile. Find me the right job and the right money, and I'm there. Fortunately enough, the headhunter, the creative recruiter, found me a job out here to Orange County. So came out here, drove nonstop for 2.5 days, because this was before iPhones. This is before MapQuest, right? So I had zero clue on how long it was going to actually take me to drive from Detroit, Michigan to Orange County, California. And my last day my last day on that job was Thursday, and I'm going to start on Monday. And I had zero clue how long it was going to take me to drive. And it was a challenge. It was a challenge by the creative director that hired me. He said, if you can make it here, by Monday, starting on Monday, I will be very impressed. You know, I'm sure he said a bunch of other things too, but I said, no problem. I got on the road, drove for 2.5 days nonstop, took 11 naps because I recorded it along the way, and was here by Saturday afternoon. Showed up in his office that Monday morning. And what I shared this story with all of you because it set the tone of my career. Because on that day when I walked into his office, he realized, this creative director, his name is Anthony DiBiase, he realized that if I need anything done, Fernando's my go-to guy. And that right there really kind of showed me, revealed to me a little bit of a pathway, how I wanted to take my career, what kind of attitude and drive that I was going to implement within my career path, which is, how do I get to be that go-to guy? How do I get to be the creative, the designer, the art director, the eventually creative director, that it doesn't matter what you give to Fernando, he will get that done, right? So from there, I moved on from one ad agency to another. I moved into an ad agency called Young and Rubicam, which is a worldwide global ad agency, working on the Lincoln Mercury account. Oh, I didn't get a chance to share with you. The job that got me out here was with another ad agency, worldwide ad agency called Wunderman, working on Taco Bell, which was awesome because I love Taco Bell, right? I mean, when Max and I were in college together, that's what I survived off of, Taco Bell, right? And this was way before, you know, there was Monster drink and Red Bull. So I lived off of Mountain Dew, right? And Taco Bell was the only quick service restaurant that offered Mountain Dew. Not McDonald's, not Burger King, not Hardee's, none of those, but Taco Bell. So Taco Bell was a staple point of my college career. And here I am coming out here in a brand new state, and working on Taco Bell, right? And while I was working on Taco Bell, I had a chance to work on a tie-in partnership. So this was back in the day when Taco Bell was partnering with a movie to help promote it. It was a small little movie called, maybe you guys have might have heard it. It's called Star Wars. I don't know, maybe just a little bit. So this was back in '99, where Star Wars Episode 1 was just coming out, and Taco Bell decided to do a tie-in partnership with him. Well, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I don't know if you guys could see, but there's Star Wars memorabilia right back here. I'm a big nerd head, right? And so I clawed and fought my way to be one of the lead creatives of that account. And sure enough, I got a chance to be one of the lead creatives on Taco Bell, which then after that project was done, I thought to myself, I'm living in Southern California. I had to try out to work for one of these big studio places, you know, Paramount, Fox, MGM, you know, Warner Brothers, and I just got to give it a try. And I had no idea I was going to do it. I think this was like in the early stages of maybe Google, you know, so I think I was maybe using Yahoo even, you know, just looking up who can I connect with within these studios. And sure enough, I got connected with somebody at Warner Brothers, and I landed a job in their in-house in-house advertising agency. So I did a stint with Warner Brothers and decided I didn't like it. Just wasn't my vibe. And another ad agency called Young and Rubicam picked me up, and that's another global ad agency. And during that time, I was working on the Lincoln Mercury account. While I was working on the Lincoln Mercury account, I got wind that the agency was going to pitch Mattel. Mattel, the biggest toy company in the whole wide world, was being pitched by us. And again, as a nerd head, I fought and clawed my way to be one of the lead creatives, to be part of that pitch. We pitched it, we landed it. And I became one of the lead creatives working on Mattel. Well, the great thing about working on Mattel is that besides working on Hot Wheels, Matchbox, Tyco, So, well, part of that brand was all of their entertainment properties. So I got a chance to work on the Batman toys, the Superman toys, all the anime properties that they had, like Naruto and Yu-Gi-Oh. So for about 9 years, you guys, I got paid to play with toys, right? I mean, how rad was that, right? Just my creativity, working with, playing with toys, doing some really amazing work with Mattel, which then led me to my other job. My next job after that was working for an agency called David&Goliath. I was one of the creative directors on the Carl's Jr. account, again, a quick service restaurant like Taco Bell, which is actually how I landed the job, because I had the experience working on Taco Bell and movie properties. And with David&Goliath, they have clients with Carl's Jr. and Universal Studios and Kia. A couple more other jobs along the way, but then my last full-time job was with an agency called Innocean. Innocean is another global ad agency. We service the car account Hyundai. We do all of the marketing, advertising, and design for Hyundai, and I was one of their associate creative director. But about around the time when I was about to turn 40, and because you'd think, okay, I've had an incredible career, right? I did what I was supposed to do. I went to college. I got a great job. I went from one job to another. I was good at my job. I was the go-to guy in pretty much all of my jobs. And I broke through my salary barrier that I put upon myself. I got the title to be creative director. I started to teach. I'm teaching, so I'm making an impact in the industry. But then I realized, okay, now what? Oh, I'm supposed to do this for the next 40 years of my life, right? And it was so devastating, you guys. It was heart-wrenching, because as much as I love doing what I do and what I did, I couldn't imagine doing it for X amount of all those other years. So I thought to myself, what a load of bleep, right? And because all this time I was looking at this as like a journey, like there was a destination that I'm supposed to get to. And that destination was once I get there, everything would be all good, all great, and all awesome. So we'll pause it from there and we'll kind of revisit this thought in a minute, okay? So there is one word in the English dictionary that people love and fear. Not necessarily all at the same time, but there's this one word, which is what you see on your screen right now, the word permanent. Okay? The word permanent, if you think about it, there's moments where you love and you yearn and you want that word to be true. And then there's times where you fear and you're afraid and you're angry at this word, right? The word permanent. And what I mean about that is that, you ever find yourself when things are good, or things are great, amazing, things are going really, really well, right? Everyone's happy, everyone's healthy, you're in a good place with your job, you're in a good place with your school, whatever it might be, everything is all good, right? And you think to yourself, man, I wish this was permanent, right? I hope how can I make this as long as possible? How could I hold on to this moment in time as long as possible? I wish it was permanent. But then let's see the other side of the spectrum here, okay? Have you ever had those days, weeks, months, hell, maybe even years, right? Where things are just not good. Things are bad, right? Things aren't working out. You're trying, but things aren't working out, whether for you, people you love, your situation, right? Or you just got fired. Maybe you got let go. of a job, and you fear this word, permanent, and you go, what if it's like this forever? Right? What if I'm in this painful moment? What if this is permanent? And you fear this word, right? And everybody knows this, that this is how it goes. We have our ups and we have our downs. That's called life, right? We're never meant to stay in one spot or the other. We're never meant to be in the highest of high all the time, permanently. We're never supposed to be in the lowest of low all the time or permanently. Okay, this ebb and flow is exactly how things are supposed to be. But one thing for sure that you can count on is that it is forward moving. It is moving forward. You will, as much as we dread being in this lower part of the curve, we will come out of it. We will, because that's life. As much as you can count on, as much as when you are in the highest of high, you will come out of that too, because that's life. And so that's how it's supposed to go, up and down, up and down, up and down. Because here's the thing, if it doesn't, right, ready? It's like this, boop, 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 boop. Because if it doesn't, it's like this. And that's when life ends, when there is no up and down, when there is no highs of highs or lows of lows, right? That's life. And so what we do is we just hang on, we hold on, and we make it through the lows, and we propel ourselves to the high, and we're up in that high, and we let me go back, and we learn as much as we can within that high. And when we're in that low, we equally learn as much as we can. So we pull ourselves out of that low. Okay, you got everybody with me thus far? All right, cool. Now, another equation here to think about is that because the highs and lows is really separated by two specific emotions. Okay? These two emotions are the core of all of other emotions. Okay? And one would say it's love, which is, you'll be right. And people would think it's hate, the other side, but it's not. It's actually fear. Right? So the two emotion that everything derives from is love and fear. Love, that's where joy, hope, cheerfulness, excitement, happiness, optimism, pride, creativity, that's where all those draw from, the emotion of love. Fear, on the other side of this spectrum, is where anger, sadness, hate, nervousness, resentment, jealousy, doubt, shame comes from. And understanding these two spectrum is the first step to understanding the highs and lows as it goes with life, right? Because one, again, cannot necessarily live by itself. That's just the way our brain operates. And here's an interesting thing, and that is where I want you guys to start to kind of think about, maybe like switching some of the words that we all use all the time, right? In our daily living, right? So let's take the word excitement and nervousness, okay? So let's say, okay, let's take that word being nervous. Everybody's been nervous. I've been nervous. You've been nervous. Everybody knows what nervousness is all about. So what does nervousness consist of? It means increase in heart rate, right? When you're nervous, breathe heavily and rapidly. You start to sweat, right? Maybe you tremble a little bit, right? You have trouble concentrating or thinking about anything besides that present moment, right? Everybody's been there. Let me flip the script at you a little bit, okay? What if we said, instead of saying you're nervous, you're excited, okay? Very similar to in the beginning of this of this talk when I told all of you that I'm super duper excited to be here with you. Because here's the thing. When I'm excited, my heart rate increases. I breathe heavily and rapidly. I start to sweat, maybe even tremble. I have trouble concentrating or thinking about anything else besides this present moment. But the script flip that I did is I'm excited to be here with you. I'm not nervous to be here with you. I'm excited to be here with you. And even from you, from all of you that's hearing me speak about this, I'm sure it's a little, you would rather have me say, I'm so excited to be here with you, as opposed to saying, I'm really nervous being here with you, right? So it's just that flip of wording. All right, let's do a little another word flip. This is something that we say all the time, right? I mean, how often do we, not even how often have we said this, but how much of this has been seared in our brain, right? How much of this has become our culture, our DNA. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And it's always that definitive moment. I'm either winning or I'm losing, right? And it's very paralyzing if you think about this, right? Because how many times have I hesitated, if not stopped, on an opportunity because I was afraid that I'd lose, right? I was afraid I'd fail. I would not win. I would fail. I will not succeed, but I will lose. How many times do we all feel that? But if I flip the script on this, ready? Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Right? So it's not about losing, it's not about failing. It's about learning what not to do. It's about learning how to do things differently. Right? And if we flip that script that way, and the thought of we don't lose, then could you imagine the sentiment? If you know wholeheartedly, 100% in your heart and in your mind that whatever it is that you decide to do, you will not lose at all. Imagine all the things that you would do, you would attempt, you would try, you would accomplish, right? So flipping the script this way takes the word losing out and you learn. So when you don't achieve that specific milestone, you learn. Why didn't I achieve it this way? And you go another route. You go another this way. You try it differently. You try it somewhere, another way around that obstacle, because now you've learned that hitting that obstacle this way isn't going to do it. So you got to go around this way or this way or this way. Right? You guys with me still? All right, cool. Okay, so that brings us to COVID-19, right? I mean, talk about 2020 kicking us in the crotch, right? Talk about, every opportunity to think, to feel that you've been defeated, you've been knocked down, you've been kicked, right? But that's what 2020 has been supposed to been all about, right? So let me offer another way, another perspective on this. So let me play a video for all of you.
As the number of confirmed cases here in the United States is now approaching 2 million.
Never before in U.S. history has there been such a significant job loss.
Millions of people are starting to get a taste of the helpless feeling of job loss.
Situations like we are in right now happens once, twice, maybe 3 times within our life. And our first instincts tend to be, how long can I keep to myself and let this storm pass by? But instead, we should be asking the question, what can I do during this time? How can I help move all of us forward together? I teach a senior level graphic design class at Cal State Fullerton Visual Arts Department. When the quarantine happened, I knew I needed to pivot the direction of my class. Instead of giving them projects to work on, logos to design, I started reaching out to small local businesses around me and asking them, what can we do to help their business? The class and I would then create 4, 5, sometimes 6 weeks worth of social media content. We would just then give that to these businesses, all free, to help them within this time. The semester has ended. We've helped out 11 businesses, and I have decided to continue this service through my company, ConceptZombie LLC. 13 of my 25 students decided to come back and help me with this. We're continuing to reach out to small businesses, and we're going to continue to help them through this time. If you need help, reach out. We have no idea where this is going to lead us to, but we're going to go find out. Here's a bit of an update on that video. So we started Creative Aid March of 2020. And since then, we've helped out 35 local small businesses. And actually, we've gone global, actually. So it's not even local anymore. We helped out this small business party hat business down in Guatemala. She makes these cool little party hats. And, she read an article about us, about Creative Aid. Or actually, her friend read an article about us and Creative Aid, and her friend sent that article down to her, and now we were able to do some work with them down there in South America. But we have businesses that we helped out over in Vermont. It's an all organic cannabis farm in Vermont. A couple of businesses over in North Carolina. And so we're really starting to expand. We've helped out 2 businesses over in Michigan. So it's just continuing to grow and grow and grow. And I'm continuing to keep building it out. Right now as like all of you, started a brand new semester at the Fullerton campus. And I have 25 students that are signed up for that internship class, and all of them are now, enrolled into Creative Aid, and we're helping out 4 additional businesses this semester, or just the beginning of this semester. So, that being said, it's like now we're up to 39 businesses that we've helped out, all pro bono, all to help them through this tough time that we're still in the middle of. But that's part of everything that I've been kind of sharing with all of you is, it's really easy to be paralyzed and to be too caught up in what's going on right here, right now, whether it's good or bad, right? But the idea is just we're always moving forward. The question is, are you part of that forward motion? Are you inspiring that forward motion? Are you kicking and screaming in the process of forward motion? Where's your state? Where's your state of mind, state of attitude on that? The last couple of things that I want to share with everyone here is, again, flipping the script a little bit. Everybody. And again, it's almost ingrained in our culture and our mindset, where this has just become such a common saying, right? A common mindset that life is a journey. And I want to challenge this sentence. I want to challenge this sentiment because, when you use the word journey, you think about it as there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and there's a destination, right? And if you think about it, right, when you go on vacation, when you go on a road trip, when you go, on a weekend getaway, whatever it might be, and you're in this journey, we're busy thinking about getting to that destination, right? Man, I can't wait to get to Italy because can't wait to taste the pasta, right? Oh man, I can't wait to go to Florida. Can't wait to see Mickey, or the new Harry Potter land, and we're so busy on that destination because we're thinking that it's a journey, and with life the same thing. We're thinking, I just have to get to that spot, get to that moment, right? And it's going to be awesome. But let me actually offer a different word, okay? Well, what if we said life is an adventure, right? And the adventure is the adventure could be packing your shit, right? Like, what kind of stuff are you gonna pack in there? The adventure is the actual travel, the actual journey, right? The actual movement. It's not just where you get there, but when you get there, it's an adventure too, because you never know where that adventure is going to take you to the next adventure, right? Like, how many times have we gone to an adventure and it was so epic and so great and it's so memorable, and you don't want it to end, and then you just want to perpetually have this adventure. And you know what? That's what life is. It is a perpetual adventure. It's not just this thing that we just go do and arrived and then it's all good. Trust me, I had that mindset. I did what I was supposed to do, right? And I got there and I was like, okay, now what? Right? We have to almost undo a lot of the things that we have been taught. And I'm not saying what we've been taught is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. We've been taught what we've been taught in order for us to get to where we are. But as full-grown adults, we are grown-ass adults in this call, right? We have to be an active participant in our adventure. And sometimes being a full active participant into this adventure, we have to unlearn the things that was handed down to us, things that we've maybe learned, read, cultures that may or may not necessarily be serving us anymore, right? And so I offer you this. Life is an adventure. And as we go into these next few slides, besides being a creative director, a business owner, an entrepreneur, a husband, a father, a good friend, a brother to Max, a teacher, an educator, a mentor. I also am a painter, an artist. I'm a gallery artist, and I share these last set of slides with all of you because this is part of my adventure of I want to surround myself with things that is inspiring to me. I want to surround myself with people that are equally have taken life as an adventure as opposed to a journey, and with the things that they have said and the things they have done. I take inspiration to brave, extraordinary people. And this is the artwork that I create, and this is the artwork that I put out in the world to leave a mark, to make an impact, and hopefully to make a difference. Thank you, everyone.
So our first question is, what is your biggest source for inspiration and drive?
That is a great question. I'm gonna answer questions with some stories. I went to a wedding just recently, and my nephew recently gotten married, and an old family friend of ours was at the wedding. He's known me since I was literally in middle school, I think 7th grade, and when it was time to say, stand up and address the bride and groom, I stood up and I said, I want to just say thank you for allowing us to be an observant to this incredible, amazing day. Thank you for allowing me to not just to show up, but just literally to watch and be part of it, right? And so then the reception came up, and we were having fun and sitting around, and this old friend of ours came up to me and said, "Man, you haven't changed one bit, Fern." Call me Fern. My family, Max calls me Fern. You guys can't call me Fern. And he said, you haven't changed one bit, Fern. He said, ever since, as long as I've known you, you were that guy, you were that kid that just loves to just observe and be attentive to your surroundings, to people, to situations. Now, mind you, I balance between being an introvert and an extrovert. I have my extrovert hat on point right here, right now. I am talking to you, but I could be a real introvert where I can come into a party and I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to say anything to anybody. I'm just going to sit in the corner with my drink and just people watch. Right. And so to answer that question, I have to tell you, that is the world. Everything is my greatest inspiration. And I don't have to travel. I don't have to go out to almost outside of my house. Although I love traveling, we lived in Costa Rica for 4 weeks. We lived in Lyon, France for 22 days. We've traveled around the world, and being in advertising, I traveled around the country in different places. I love traveling, but to be observant and to draw inspiration from literally anything is I think really one of the key things to life. And let me give you guys an example. You can do this. I'm not just saying this because I'm crazy, although I am maybe cuckoo in the head. Okay, so just do an exercise. Ready, everyone? Look at your floor. Okay, look at the carpet. If you're standing over a carpet or a wood floor or tile or laminate floor, whatever it might be, right? Or look at the desk that your computer is on. There is a pattern on those things. There's a pattern on that carpet. There's a pattern on that desk. There's a pattern on that floor. And that pattern was created by someone or something, right? That pattern is design, right? Look at your hand. Our hand has patterns all over it. Our thumb, I have a design on me that there's no other design like it in the whole wide world besides what I have. I draw inspiration to that in that, right? So when you can see things anything about everything can inspire you. I mean, literally, the world is your oyster, right? So to answer your question, is everything and anything. Movies, music, driving, walking, a leaf. I have this at my desk. I have an avocado plant that I grew from a pit right? And I look at this pattern on this leaf every day, and I think to myself, that's freaking awesome, right? So I hope that answered your question.
Perfect. Thank you, Fernando. We have another question is, has your graphic design degree played a big part in your career development, or has it been through other channels?
The degree itself is nothing but it's a small part. It's a small but important part of the big adventure, meaning that the degree was great, 100%. You know, having that degree on my resume, having the school CCS, Center for Creative Studies, which is now College for Creative Studies now. I mean, that gave a lot of weight on you know, on my resume. And sure, you know, my first creative boss was a graduate of CCS, and so there was that connection. But that's all that was. It didn't. You know, don't ever think, you know, one thing will be like the magic wand, the magic thing. No, it's a compilation of other things. Because here's the thing: if I was a lazy ass, that degree ain't gonna be worth shit, right? If I was not cool, or not saying I'm cool, but I'm cool. You know, if I wasn't cool to work with, if I didn't work hard to be the go-to guy, then that degree would be worth as much as the paper that it's printed on. You know, so yes, but so much more than beyond the degree.
Yes, I can wholeheartly, as a fellow alum, that I think you were sitting next to me when I found out how much my degree was going to cost me. Yeah. And my face went 3 shades whiter than it presently is. You thought I was going to pass out. Yeah. It's important, but it is definitely not make or break. And I would say that you have actually become successful beyond your degree because of what you want and what you go for and what you're inspired by, way beyond what you were trained in.
It's funny we're talking about the degree and the CCS. I just my assistant, I had a meeting with her this afternoon, and she said, did you read this article that CCS just sent that released for you? And I go, no, I haven't seen it. So she forwarded me the link, and CCS just wrote an article about me, about creative aid. It was pretty funny. So it's funny that we're talking about CCS now.
Excellent. Hang on, I've got motorcycles rolling past downtown Long Beach. I'm going to let it roll. We have a comment. It says it's a very heartwarming story and mission. I believe referring to creative aid. My work also work with the community to donate thousands of masks and PPE for hospitals in 2020.
That's awesome.
Amazing project for students. It's a great idea. More schools can implement in the future. Funny you guys should say that. There might be things in the works. This is a question you got last time was, do you have an internship available? Where can I find more information? If you will stick around afterwards, Fernando will be happy to talk to you and get you connected. Our next question is, best way to market yourself to industry professionals fresh out of college?
Yeah, no, that's great. Yes. So again, just like anything else, it's not that one magic one thing to do. It's a myriad of things to do, right? And you put the same level of effort in all of them, right? And so first thing is that your portfolio is just industry standard right now. No, you know, the first thing that people, the agencies, design studios, design firms, they want to see your work. Obviously, they want to see what you've done. They want to see what you're capable of, what your craftsmanship is, and your website is the place for that to live in, right? So obviously, having a website in play on that. Second is utilizing social media. Social media is, again, it's we all know this. It's a game changer, right? We consume content so differently now. I mean, so differently that has been, and even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it's so different, right? So if you're looking for a job, right? If you're out there in the job market, there's 99.999% probability that if wherever it is that you apply to, the creative manager or the hiring manager would have Googled your name. Okay? They would literally Google your name. They will find out who you are every which way possible. Okay. So knowing that, what kind of presence do you have on the web? Right? I mean, I Google myself all the time, not because I'm a narcissist, but because I need to know what is out there, right? You need to be able to Google yourself. You need to be able to see what is out there, and you need to be able to curate your content out there as much as you can. And social is the best way to do that. And I'm not talking about just social and, you know, TikTok or Snapchat. I'm talking about all across the board, right? Talking about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, right? Have a narrative, have a story, have a reason on how you're using each of these social media platforms. Okay, so let me give you an example how I do mine, right? So my website obviously is all about my work, all about my company, the creative work that we've done, and I've personally and professionally created. Facebook, on the other hand, strictly family. Okay, this is my way to show the public, show the people out there that I'm not just a creative person. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. We like adventure. We love traveling. We do all these things, right? So this is what we show. Okay, what kind of a family person I am. Okay, Instagram is strictly for my art, because Instagram is a visual medium. It's a visual social media, right? So it's all about my art shows, my galleries, the artwork that I've recently created, my new pieces, right? LinkedIn is very much all about my professional life. Like, I don't put pictures of my family on my LinkedIn page. It's not relevant, right? So it's all about what my business have done, what my creativity, what my team has created, my organization, right, have created. So specifically that is business related. Twitter are basically I have a lot of inspirational thoughts, quotes that I like to requote. So I put that out. I put out as there's a lot of hard negative things in the world, and so I try to pump out positive things, you know, things that helps move all of us forward together. So that's how I curate my presence, right? Knowing that any opportunities, any new clients, any job opportunities, project opportunities, they want to know who I am, right? So if you're looking for a job, you want people to know who you are as much as possible, because as soon as they call you, right, they're calling you for a reason. They just should be calling you because they wanted to get to know you more, right? But you have to be able to curate that narrative. I'm not saying everything has to be perfect. I'm not saying everything has to be filtered, right? I'm saying is that what is your narrative? What is your story? And create that story. And here's the thing. People will know if it's fake. So be real, be authentic of your story, of who you are as a person, okay? Because if somehow, some way they get past, maybe they get fooled by what you put out there, what you curated isn't really real. Guess what? They'll know when they call you, And if they don't find out when they call you, guess what? They'll know when they interview. And let's say you even pass the interview stage and they still interview, but you're not that person. Guess what? They'll know on that first week. But now they're gonna have to fire your ass, and you don't want to be there. So be real in the first place.
Very good advice. Have you ever worked with charities and or non-for-profits in addition to the restaurants and businesses?
Absolutely.
With creative aid?
Yes. Yeah, it's actually more 60-40. We're working with a lot more nonprofits, organizations. So don't worry, we'll talk about that as far as connecting and being able to converse. Where do we go from here, basically?
Do you have any tips for overcoming creative blocks? I think that may have been a little bit touched with the inspiration part, but if you have anything that may help kickstart some of that.
Absolutely. Yes. Get into the mindset of don't beat yourself up too much. Right? Remember the roller coaster ride? No, just accept the fact that there's going to be times we're going to be down here. We're going to be in the low, and it's just the way it goes, right? And usually we're in that low, and part of the reason sometimes we're on that low is because somebody's come over and kicked us in the crotch, right? Or something, or someone, or a situation have kicked us in the crotch, right? And when I say don't beat yourself up too much about it, because Will Smith said this eloquently. People are already kicking you in the balls. Now you're gonna get in line and kick yourself in the balls, right? Like it's okay to forgive yourself a little bit. It's okay to be like, damn, I messed that one up. Okay, all right, it's all good. You learn from it, figure this out. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this, right? It's not doing you any good when you're like, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're this, you're that, blah, 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 blah. And you're beating yourself up over and over and over and again, because then now you have to get over yourself along with the situation. So it's okay. It's all right. Go for a drive. What I do, I go for a drive. I put on, I am a big movie fan. I love movies. I love TV shows. It doesn't matter what kind it is. Rom-com, horror, comedy, action, sci-fi. It's my way to turn off. I put on my stupid hat, as I call it. I get to put on my stupid hat, and whatever is on TV, I get lost in it. And so again, sometimes I drive. Max and I, we were both motorcycle rider. I get on my bike. So anything to kind of change my state of mind a little bit to get me out of that situation is usually the first step into just kind of forgiving yourself, forgiving me.
I'd like to actually add to that, Fernando, is that what you just touched on is changing your mental state is a huge key, because if you continue to focus on something, your mind is cycling around the same pathways. So do something that is menial, very task-oriented, that doesn't require your brain, but distracts you, and you have to focus on doing the dishes. Make sure you don't cut yourself with knives, that sort of stuff. So your brain is just focused on doing something simple. I've even found, as goofy as it sounds, taking a nap, going to sleep. Your brain will continue to work on it. It may wake you up. But changing that cycle is probably the biggest first step, rather than trying to just keep hammering at it.
I love folding clothes. I'm a big clothes folder, because I get to turn off my brain, and next thing you know, all my stuff is folded. It's like, it's awesome. Okay? So.
I wish I had that same passion for dishes. Okay, how do you move from ideation to a concrete plan of action?
Trust the process. Right? Don't get caught up into the allure or the romanticizing of the creative, of like, oh, you're creative, you get to create, and you know, ooh, you get to like just create these cool things, and everybody like, you're so cool. No, don't get caught up in that. Right? It's all good and fine when there's like, yeah, you're trying to like, you know, I'm doing a gallery show and I have to kind of put up a bit of a show a little bit and talk about my work, but what you're talking about, what the question is that it's a slippery slope when you don't trust the process, right? And what I mean about that is that every step of the creative process, there's a reason for being, and there needs to be a beginning and an end of each of the stages. Meaning that, okay, first thing is first, before any project, you know, you get a project, before you do anything at all, before you even start coming up with concepts and ideas or sketching out any ideas at all, first thing is first is that you got to get all your information, right? Collect data. You got to get briefed. You got to know what the project is. You got to know what the problem is going to solve. You're going to know who you're trying to talk to. You got to know the brand, the product, you know, the demographics. You got to know all this stuff, right? And that's the first step of the process, is gathering all this data and all this information. Trust that you shouldn't be thinking of ideas until you have all the information that you can gather. Because any ideas that you're coming up with in a vacuum of no information or limited information, you're just guessing at that point, right? You're just guessing that your creative idea will hopefully solve whatever that problem is. But if you haven't recognized that problem yet, you're just guessing. Let's just call it what it is. You're just freaking guessing, okay? So until you have all the necessary information to make a calculated guess, creative guess, trust the process, gathering up all the information, then you can start concepting, then you can start thinking, then you can start sketching, writing, right? And then don't get caught up in that hamster wheel of like, oh, I like being in this creative world where I'm just coming up with ideas and ideas. Know that unless you leave that stage of the process until you get to the actual creation of it, that's just an idea. That's just a thought. And a thought is like air, right? Until you can actually bring that thought into something tangible, something meaningful where people can see it, touch it, feel it, hear it, listen to it, right? It's nothing. It's a ghost. Right? So do you want to live in a ghost state? No, of course not. So no, have an end. Know that you can't live in that state. Move on to the next state, and so on and so forth, right? So trust the process is the best thing I can say. And anybody that doesn't, they're like, oh, I like to like, you know, wing it. Okay, you go do that. All right. And let's see how sustainable that is, and let's see how far you go with that, or let's see how many times you can, you're gonna get lucky with that. So I hope that answered the question.
I think that definitely covered it. Great point to also consider schedule.
Yes.
The process has to fit within the schedule, I think. That's something that gets forgotten.
Yeah.
What skills do you see not being fully developed due to the impacts of COVID on students? And what would you suggest students do in order to be competitive with designers who had a traditional design education?
So I'm it is either going to be really, really great or maybe not so much. I'm a consummate optimist, right? I have this phone. Hold on. I have this phone case, right? There's this phone case that has my art on it. Okay. And it has a quote on there. I'm going to read you guys the quote. Ready? The quote says, this is by Winston Churchill. And the quote says, the optimist sees opportunity in every danger. The pessimist sees danger in every opportunity. Okay? Now, I purposefully and intentionally made this phone cover with that quote on it on my phone, because every time my phone rings, it's an opportunity, right? How many times have anybody, dreaded when the phone would ring? Is it a bad news? I don't know. Oh my gosh, why are they calling me? Oh no, what do they have to say, right? So I'm a consummate optimist, and so I see COVID, and I see the world we live in now, and I also listen and follow this author speaker. His name is Simon Sinek, and Simon really kind of sums it up really, really well. What we're going through is a great revealer. It really reveals each and every one of us of kind of who we are, right? It reveals what we're afraid of, or what we love, or what we would actually do when put in these, really strenuous situations. And so, I actually see what's happening with COVID as a great thing, because it's revealing everyone. It's revealing to everyone who they really are. And through that revelation, the question is like, now what are you going to do about it? Right? Now that it's revealed to you what some of your biggest fears are in this world, in this life that you're living, the question is, okay, great. Now what the hell are you going to do? Right? And so the good thing about this is that it's making people be braver, right? So that's wonderful and that's awesome, and I'm all about that. The more people that have the courage and the bravery, I think the more that we're going to move forward together. As far as a competitiveness into the design world, between being in this virtual world versus kind of the traditional way of doing things, which is in person. My thought on that is that, so for many years, right, there is this stigma about working from home. Okay, every company that I've ever worked for has this thought of, and I'm guilty of this too. I remember thinking, you really don't work from home. You don't work at home. No, you don't. You're like half working, right? You're just kind of sitting around, not doing much. And so when people work from home, you're not really, where you're out running around errands. And so it really paralyzed the industry. Nobody worked from home. Everybody went into work, and that's just the way it goes. What COVID did, it opened the Pandora's box. What? Right? And it told everyone, F you, we're actually a lot more productive than you thought that we were giving ourselves credit for. Productivity is higher working from home. We get to spend time with family, right? And we can actually figure it out, balance things out. Now, mind you, mental health, not everybody has the luxury like I do, like Max does, right? I have a dedicated office. This is my office. I can close my door. My kids, my family knows when the door is closed, I'm working, right? I have teammates. I have students that's living in apartments. That's working on a dining table that has they have to get their shit out of the way because people are gonna eat dinner. People trying to watch TV back there. I get it. I totally 100% get that. And so what I foresee, the eventuality of this is what we're kind of actually starting to see is this hybrid, where there is. I myself, I'm starting to look at office space for my agency because I want to be able to provide that space for anyone that does not have the same luxury or privilege as I do to have an office space. So I wouldn't look at the pros, necessarily the pros and cons of it, and look at it as like, look at it more as like, what are we learning now, and how are we going to adjust the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and so on. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, I'd even add to that is that your education and design path was changed at the same trajectory and time that the industry was changed.
Mm-hmm.
So you were actually being trained for things that Fernando and I are having to wing, because we just have a traditional education when it comes to the creative process. So we've learned some of this stuff along the way for clients and things like that, but it's not going 100% backwards.
Right.
So hopefully that answered.
Yeah. And actually, I would love to add to that and then maybe answer a question from a couple questions ago, which is about helping find a job or get a job or advice and things like that. So here's the thing. The wonderful thing about being virtual now, okay, and I did this with my students in my class, okay, there's a 99% probability that your first job interview is going to be in a Zoom like this. Okay, let's just kind of see that for what it is, right? It's just because safety precautions, blah, 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 so on and so forth. It's probably going to be Zoom like this. Take this opportunity right here, right now in this class to be so comfortable, so brave and confident being in this framework, right? That when you do your job interview, you're on point. You're not even thinking about that you're in virtual mode, okay? And I'm talking about not just who you are and your mannerism and the way you speak, you know, checking your mic, make sure your mic is all good, make sure your screen is all good. And here's the very, very important part. And this is why I ask many of you to have your screen on, because this is your frame, all right? When you go to a job interview, when I have a client meeting, guess what? I know I'm a good looking guy and my client wants to look at me, but let's be honest, they're looking at my background too. They're looking at, what is that? What is that? What is that? Right? So I'm looking at everyone's screen. How does your framing look? What does your room look like? You know, do you look like you're living in a cave right now? You know, is your bed messed up? Is your closet open? You know, where's your camera angled? Am I looking up your nose? Right? Am I looking down on your forehead? You're all creatives. You're designers. Design your frame, right? Because that is how people are going to look at you. Get comfortable being in front, looking at the camera. So.
Very good. Very good. We had a question, or actually a comment with a question. I agree that life is an adventure, but how do you know which direction to go without a set destination? What do you use as a guide or a compass for your project or life endeavors?
All right, great. I'm gonna draw a little something. I love that question because it's true, so true. Everybody, I want to just kind of presume, which I don't like to presume, that everybody has been on a plane before, you know, understand at least the concept and idea of a plane, the way planes work, airplanes work, right? So, you know, you start off here, right? To say this is California, and we're gonna go to New York, right? And realistically, yes, the travel is this way, right? But because of winds and weather and clouds and birds and other airplanes, this is it's probably like more like this, right? You're always gonna be, it's called self-correction, self-correcting your adventure, okay? Because as goes life, just like in an airplane, there's winds, there's clouds, there's other people's dramas, there's, you know, there is health, there's family, there's money involved. There's all these things that start to come into play, you know, it's either going to pull and push and put and deviate and distract you to your adventure, from your adventures. And so all I ask is this. Think about it, is that every possible quote unquote distraction, every possible things that come are possible adventures to see, to kind of explore into, right? Are possible happy little accidents, as they call it, right? When I was rebranding my company, I was actually highly considering the name Serendipity, because my career path continues to be so, and my business feels like it operates in a very serendipitous manner. And that means things happen, you know, happy little accidents happen, and they happen, and I'm like, ooh, that's kind of interesting. I wonder what this is all about. And I see it, and the next thing I know is like this huge, all these other amazing things that just happens to fit within what my, you know, adventure, my mission, my vision would be. Now, it would never have come to fruition if I didn't take in the time to explore what that is. Okay? So I guess the idea is, again, this constant optimist, is that it's okay to kind of look at it and be like, oh, I wonder what this is all about. Ooh, I want to share one more story about that. So I was recently, like, or not recently, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, we were walking through Las Vegas, right? A good friend of ours came to town. My wife and I drove to Vegas to meet with them, and we're walking by the giant Ferris wheel, right, with the big ball Ferris wheel, and all these shops were there as we headed towards this thing. And we walked by the Polaroid store. There's a Polaroid store there, right? And I'm like, Polaroid, that's kind of weird, kind of funny. I mean, it's weird that they just, you know, Polaroid's so 80s, right? And we walked past it, and literally like 5 feet away from it, maybe 10 feet away from it. And I said, this is just too interesting for me just to walk past it. Can we just hop in there just to kind of check it out? And they're like, okay, sure. So we walked in there. Looks like just regular. So they just have a bunch of, like, you know, Polaroid cameras, little trinkets, iPhone cases. But then there was a staircase that in the back of the store, there's a staircase that goes up to the second floor. I'm like, and nobody's going there. It's not like people were like, ooh, what's up there, and going up there. So I just meandered up to this second floor. It is a full-on gallery museum with Polaroid art, Polaroid artists. It was just incredible second floor museum that was just incredible, amazing. And I remember thinking about that, thinking I would have not gone and seen this, and my friends and my wife wouldn't have seen this if we just kept on walking, right? So it's okay to go explore it.
All right, so now we have a couple of comments. One very stylish, one some hands clapping and amazing presentation, and thank you. We have one, looks like one final question is, one of your points of turning a loss into a lesson is something I've tried to incorporate in my life. But what do you do when it's near impossible to claim any lessons? Has there been a time when you didn't want to accept a lesson?
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. So this, from this year, from March till April, I'm sorry, February through April, was one of the most difficult time thus far in my career. Okay. I had to relinquish two clients. And one of them, I thought I was going to have a legal battle with them. It was a very painful, unhealthy, toxic client, very demeaning. And so there's two of those, and then a third client that was just the client was great, but the team that had put together was not great. Out of all the years that I've ever produced TV commercials, video content, working with multiple production companies, I've never had a production company threaten to walk out days before the project was due. Okay. And so I was dealing with that along with the two other tough clients. I was losing, I wasn't sleeping. For the first time in a year, since I started Creative Aid of March 2020, and Max, you'll probably remember this, I canceled a Wednesday meeting. I never had to do that. And I mean, to this day, as I'm telling all of you this story, right? I'm being transported back to that moment in time. And if someone were to come up to me and says, Fernando, this is an incredible lesson that you're learning, I would have probably punched you in the face, right? And so all I could hold on to at that point in time was the graphic that I showed you, all of you, in the beginning of this, is that I was in my lowest of low, but I had to trust life, trust the process, that I wasn't going to always be in that space. I don't know how long. I mean, actually, I did know. I knew that by April, the production was going to be done. The client would have been the other two clients would have been relinquished by also April. So I knew I had that time. I knew I had just had to hold on, but it was absolutely painful. To this day, I could write a book on it. And I look back at the time, and I kept on telling myself, this is my master's class. This is my MBA. This was my master's in business lesson. I just gotta get through it. I gotta get through it. And along the way, in between, I'd have a drink with my wife, and I'd say to her, I can't let this moment in time go to waste. I have to be able to come out of this with as much lessons that I can extract from it, as much as possible, but I can't do it right now because I'm just trying to get through it. I'm just trying to get through this block of time. And I believe it was Benjamin Franklin that said that if you ever find yourself at the end of your rope, tie a knot and hold on, right? And so that's another visualization that I was doing. I was just holding on for dear life, knowing that I was going to get through it, okay? And so even after I got through it, it took weeks and a month or two for me to, I felt like I had, and I told this to colleagues of mine, I felt like I had a little bit of PTSD, right? I couldn't trust new clients. I couldn't trust myself. Hell, I was thinking to myself, how could I have put myself and my company and my people in that situation? I didn't trust myself for a while. And it's not till, we're now in September, where I can finally look back and say, I didn't lose that. That wasn't a loss. Those two clients, and there's that production company that I'm not working with anymore, That wasn't a loss. That was an incredible lesson. I can say that now in September. I couldn't say it back then. And I would have punched myself in the face if I were to say that to myself then. So no, you have to give yourself time. You can't beat yourself up too much. You got to give yourself a little bit more credit. And that takes time. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fernando. Our last two comments, I'd like everybody to turn on their camera and their mics. Fantastic presentation and such a Filipino pride. So thank you, Fernando.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank